Dear viewers, the topic which we will discuss today is can Pakistan be called as a unique Islamic state? The question mark. Whatever has been going on in Pakistan last couple of weeks, even more, that all in the name of religion, to exploit religion, Islam, for political purposes. And what Tehreek-e-Labbaik, that is the group or the party which has been banned by the government after days of violence, particularly in Lahore and elsewhere. That couple of months back, the government, the state, reached an agreement with Tehreek-e-Labbaik, in which it pledged a couple of things: that it will take action against the French ambassador in Pakistan. The government in that agreement mentioned that the issue will be taken to the National Assembly for debate. It was not done. And then a week ago, Tehreek-e-Labbaik reminded the government of the agreement and then threatened to march towards Islamabad. The government got panicky, and it led to the use of force. It led to the hijacking and the torture of police personnel and the rangers and all that by the Tehreek-e-Labbaik, activists. A lot of damage done to the public property. From both sides, people were killed. The question is that there are around 57 members of OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. No other country, Muslim country, has witnessed so much of violence in the name of religion. No country, even Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Malaysia, Turkey, and other countries, they demanded the expulsion of French ambassador. Charges of that the French president had committed a crime. It is in the blasphemy. Of course, to respect the religion, and particularly our last prophet, peace be upon him, very dear to us. But then, no other country, Islamic country, Muslim country, member of OIC, experienced so much of protest demonstrations and violence and, as it happened in case of Pakistan. This is Pakistan's moment of truth. That already, and then the demand that the French ambassador should be expelled. What difference will it make to France? Had Pakistan been economically powerful, viable, not dependent, not on dole, it would have taken the risk. The second thing is basically that we are living in an era of information technology, globalization, geoeconomics, soft power. And a country like Pakistan, which is the world's sixth largest in terms of population, it will surpass Indonesia and then Brazil. It will then be the fourth. Is the only nuclear state as far as the Muslim world is concerned. Second largest Muslim country. And the state of Pakistan has lost its writ, has been signing agreements with extremist groups, with fanatic groups. religious fanatic extremist groups. And then it makes mockery of itself. It signs an agreement, it defaults, the party takes law into its own hand, the state uses force, and then declares Tehreek-e-Labbaik as a banned political, because it's not only it has some couple of members in the assembly, it's a religious group, so it has been banned. The question is basically that how can you have negotiations with an organization which has been banned, and there are serious charges of lawlessness, of violence, of killings and things like that. The world is watching Pakistan, is looking Pakistan. The Financial Action Task Force, FATF, in June will decide whether to maintain Pakistan grey list, to downgrade it, the blacklist, or to remove it from the grey list. So the thing is basically that the message which is sent to the world from Pakistan, that the state is unable to establish its writ. Any group, particularly religious groups, they are so fearful, the state is so fearful of such groups. It patronizes, it has patronized earlier. Maybe there are rogue elements who are still patronizing such religious extremist groups. And then it takes action against them and agrees to negotiate with them. So what sort of a contradiction is this? And in no other Islamic country we have seen so much of violence and killings, demonstrations, protest marches, as in case of Pakistan. Next door you have UAE, you have Iran, you have Saudi Arabia, you have Turkey, you have the East, you have Bangladesh, you have Sri Lanka, you have Bangladesh, you have Malaysia, you have Indonesia, you have all such Muslim countries. So what is the problem with Pakistan? That why the state has given a free hand to religious extremist groups. And as mentioned by Hassan Abbas in his book, which he published, a very good book in 2005, Pakistan Drifts into Extremism. That a consistent policy by the state actors to patronize such jihadi and religious and other groups, using them for their own interests and then trying to dump them. They have become monsters. So that is something which the state must take note of, that its credibility is questionable. And if the credibility is gone, it's unable to establish writ of the state, and then it negotiates with the same type of people who have been involved in the killings of policemen and the injuring rangers and taking law into their own hands, disturbing peace, then my suspicion is that after a couple of days, again there will be some event, again the state will get panicky, will use force, and then will negotiate with them. So we are gradually drifting as far as a situation which is a failing governance and state. It's very dangerous. 220 million people. Pakistan cannot afford that. So the people of Pakistan the state of Pakistan, that is their moment of truth, that there has to be zero tolerance as far as the use of religion for political purposes, for personal purposes concerned, that no one is supposed to take law into their own hands. And the state must act. No mercy, whosoever is responsible, taking law into own hands, to punish them across the board. And then the second thing is that the government should also take note of socio-economic conditions of people. In most cases, we see militancy, radicalization, anger, antagonism, extremism, violence and terrorism because of economic issues. Frustration as far as the youth population is concerned. So you have to put your own house in order, you have to address economic issues, educational issues, and then of course in terms of political parties, they must be responsible, the assemblies, the parliament. So it should be in tandem that economic reforms, political reforms, other reforms, we should not give any space to extremism or extremist groups. Only then Pakistan can restore its image and its credibility at the international level. Thank you very much.